takes a minute. We're live!
Hey!
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the City of Lost Souls live show. We are obviously discussing City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare today. If you don't know, I am hosting a year-long read-along for the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles. Oh, sorry, I choked on my water that I drank 2 minutes ago. We are reading all of the books in the Shadowhunter Chronicles together. We are doing live shows and discussing it together. So this is the one for City of Lost Souls. We're going to do a little bit of a spoiler-free part for those of you who haven't finished it, but you will definitely want to have read City of Lost Souls before tuning into the majority of this live show. So if you don't know me, I am Emma from the channel Emmabooks. City of Lost Souls, I have read it 9 times now. I have a problem. City of Lost Souls is actually like my favorite book of all time. So I'm so excited for this live show. I, of course, gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I think it's perfect. So Macy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Macy from the channel Books and Coffees. This is my second time reading the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and the first time I didn't really like City of Lost Souls, but then when I read it again, I enjoyed it so much this time. I think it's one of my new favourites, so I'm super excited to do this live show.
I'm so excited. Christina?
So I'm Christina, and I come from the channel Proud Book Lion, and I have a booktuber program, which is a bit bigger. But yeah, and it's my second time reading City of Lost Souls as well, and I agree with Macy because I read it again and I liked it way better this time. But like, yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but it's still really, really good.
And Kimberlan?
Hello. So my name is Kimberlan. It's spelled Kimberlan. I'm very particular about my name. I think this is my 4th time reading City of Lost Souls. For me, is because I started reading them after like book like 5 or 6, and so they kind of like blend together. I don't really consider it to be like a separate thing. I don't know. It's like hard for me to explain. But I love this book. I think it's fantastic. I think City of Heavenly Fire is my favorite, but I do love City of Lost Souls.
That's fantastic. So just to reiterate, we're gonna jump into spoilers now. If you guys have any questions, any things that you guys want to discuss, please put them in the live chat that is next to your viewing screen on YouTube, and we will answer them, and we can just talk about all the great things. But to be clear, we do not go into spoilers for future books. We can just talk about whatever past books in publication order that have come before City of Lost Souls. So if you have any questions, please send them your way. My first question is, does anyone have any favorite scenes from this book?
Any favorite scenes? I can go. Is it okay if I go?
Yeah, this is spoilers. Go for it.
Okay. So I hope I don't take anybody else's, but my favorite scene is definitely when Clare gets the Archangel sword.
Oh, glorious!
Yeah.
So fantastic. I guess I wasn't expecting it to ignite. So I really love that scene. And then I guess as a second scene, I guess I should have said this one first. But where Cassie's like almost trying to give Sebastian some like character development, and they're like at the coffee shop and they're like drinking the hot chocolate. I was like feeling for him. I'm like, I don't want to feel for you because Max. I'm just gonna say Max. That's like all you need to say. But like I was like, feeling for him for a little bit, but later on in the book, he just, tears that away. So
yeah. I always was so shocked reading that scene where where Clare gets the sword, because I so did not expect her to stab Jade. Like,
oh my gosh.
A 17-year-old me who is like, oh my God, like finally they're not siblings, they can be together. And then Clare just literally thrusts a giant sword into him. Like, he already died once, we can't have him die again.
Right.
Christina, Macy, what are some of your favorite scenes?
I have one that's kind of linked with Glorious. It's when Simon retrieves the sword and like the angel refuses, and he's just like, "Well, I have, as you see, I've had marks. I can stand here. You can see it as ringing on your heavenly doorbell."
That's so funny. And the angel reveal is just like this annoying little kid. Like he's like not gonna leave me alone unless I give him the sword.
Right. He was like, "Don't thank me. I was going to kill you."
I know that I always say my favorite scene is when Clary, Jason, Sebastian, they go to the like antique store to get the Adamas, and they like fight together for the first time, and that's the first time we really see Clary like being a badass Shadowhunter. Yeah. And then especially after when they go to the bone chandelier is always my favorite, because I love the dynamic between Clary and Sebastian in that scene where she's like high out of her mind. She's like,
"Oh my gosh,
you're all dark, and Jason's all light. And then we get into the whole like, who do you belong to if we belong to each other?
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh,
I love it so much. Macy, what about you?
I honestly, I like one of the scenes in like the first part of the book where it's like Aileen talking to Alec and she's like thanking him for coming out. That's like one of my favourite scenes in the entire book. I love it.
Really sweet. It's a really, really sweet scene because I think like Alec never expected anyone to be able to relate to what he was going to, because it was so isolating for him when he was growing up, being gay and having no one to relate to and no one that could know. And so I think it was like a really emotional moment for him to know that like him like having the strength to come out has really impacted other people. It makes my heart happy.
Right.
Let me see. Well, we mentioned this before. Brittany Lane says, we got to see a different side of Sebastian, a more charming, kinder side of him. Did any of you find yourself starting to like Sebastian, forgetting he was evil?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Definitely when I was younger, I would like really hard Sebastian. Now I know, and I'm like, I'm smarter. But definitely in the beginning, I was like, wow, like, you know, like I can feel compassion and empathy. Like when Clary is like putting an Arazi on his back or something, and she sees the scars that Valentine left on him. Like it's hard to not feel something, and we have to like remind ourselves, like, hey, he's a murderer. What do you guys think about the difference?
Yeah, literally that. I'm always like having to remind myself, like, he's evil, stop feeling sorry for him. But like I always feel so sorry for him when she sees like the scars on his back, and I'm like, he killed Max. Do not feel sorry for this guy. But I just can't help it.
Yeah, it's like I feel like part of us want to believe he's redeemable and we want him to be a good person. And so when we're given all of these scenes where he's like, oh, well, you know, if you believe that I changed Jace, why can't Jace have changed me and had an influence on me? Like, I'm better now. Like, you want to believe it so badly. And he's so manipulative that, like, we start to.
Yeah.
Let's see what other question in this. What do you guys think of Sebastian's possessiveness of Clary in this? Because it's kind of sexual.
It's definitely sexual, but it's like Cassandra Clare, incestual, like that.
Yeah, I think. Go for it, Kimberlan. Go for it.
I found it. It's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to like, cause I felt the uneasy tension with with Clary and Sebastian, but I never felt like uneasy when it was like her and Jace. I was like, please, like, it's okay. Like, I don't care that you're brother and sister. Sebastian, I'm like, no, stop. Like, you need to stop doing that. It's not okay. So I don't know. I think it's just a testament to Cassie's writing. Like, she wrote it perfectly. Because honestly, like, I mean, she's known Jace longer, but as far as like really knowing somebody, she doesn't know either one of them that much. Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of like the same thing, but then we know she's like actually related to him. So that, you know, colors the reaction as well.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I never believed that Sebastian was really capable of feeling love, whether it is romantic or like familiar. I don't think he has that capability because of his demon blood. But there's a scene on Cassie's website. It's really interesting. She has like a lot of little snippets and stuff. And there's it's the scene when Sebastian is traveling to Idris before City of Glass, and he's like trying to find Sebastian Verlac. And so he hasn't met Clary at all. And so he's like, in his mind, he's like, I wonder if she's like me. And so I think it really is that whole like possessive, like we are one, like I own you, like we are meant to be together in the respect of like we have the same blood. And so I think it really is it's not that like he loves her or that like he thinks that she's hot and wants to have sex with her.
Yeah.
It's like he owns her, and that like sort of sexual tension is him expressing this ownership over her. And I think it's so fascinating. I think it's like written so well, because it's
written so well.
Yeah, it's so fascinating.
Somebody said gross. He liked it when they kissed in COG. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you the truth. Just Jason and Clary, like not Sebastian and Clary. Yeah. Like that was, but this book was testing my morality. When I first read the series, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm sitting here rooting for a brother and sister to be together. Like I was completely, they were like OTP, like from the start. Like it was shit. So I did. I can't remember that person's name. It just went up. Somebody said, are they the only one that wants the whole book with Lilith, the Silly Queen and Lilith?
Oh my god, that's so dope. That would be so cool.
I don't think our heart is in Lilith. I didn't hear you.
I think it would be so interesting to have just like a little anthology of stories about all the villains from the Shadowhunter world, like either like before, like you know, like it would be cool to see like Mortmain before he like meets Tessa for the first time, or like the Sealy Queen in between, like City of the Sealy Queen and Sebastian in between City of Heaven, City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls. Like I think it would be so cool to get their perspective inside.
Yeah.
Sierra in. I'm sorry, were you talking?
No, go for it.
She said that you think that Sebastian would be different if he was raised differently, but still with the demon blood.
Oh, that's like the question about Sebastian. That's like the whole question of his character. I think the demon blood is like more complex than we can really comprehend, because it's not something that we have in our world. I think I don't know if I think so. I think that he was like, because of what Valentine did before he was born, he was like born to be this way. Mm-hmm. And I think that even if like Valentine had showed him love, or if Jocelyn had brought him up like with Clary, I think it would be hard for him to have really separated from that part of himself. Like maybe he wouldn't be like as cold because he didn't have Valentine's training, but I think without Valentine's training, he would still have that like the inherently evil part of himself.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's see what other questions we have. Speaking of the Sealy Queen, a couple of people want to know our thoughts on like her role in the story and with the
fairy rings.
With the fairy rings. What do you guys think about that?
Oh gosh, that woman.
She's such a good villain. I never expected the fairy rings to come back into play. Like I read this when I was 17, so I wasn't like, I wasn't theorizing the whole time like I do when I read now. But I really did not expect them to have any tie to like the Sealy Queen or anything. Like I literally just thought, I was like, oh, this is a great way for Simon and Clary to communicate. And then just comes out that Sebastian and the Sealy Queen have been working together, and we're like, okay.
Oh my god. And like she like sincerely doesn't think that she's evil. She's just like, oh, I'm like taking tea time with Sebastian. It's completely fine.
Yeah. When Claire also lost her ring, it's just like it's kind of obvious who has it right now. Like you're in an apartment with two people, and great, you lost it. So can believe that.
Oh, that was a devastating part of the book too. When she wakes up and she's like, "Oh my god, I have no connection. Like I have to keep myself centered." And then when Simon's going up to Reveal and he's like trying to talk to her and she can't respond.
Yeah.
Ring. And he's like, "I might die, but I wanted to hear you one more time." I'm like, "Oh no."
Simon is like the character that I do not want to die. Like, I don't want anybody to die, but for some reason, like Simon, even when he was a vampire, he like maintained his mundane POV. So like everything, like he still reacted like the same way like a mundane would to all the things in the Shadowhunter world. And I think I felt the most connected to him when I first started reading. And so I really love Simon. Somebody said they love Simon in the live chat. I do too. I can't remember your name, whoever you were.
Oh, there was a good question. One second. Where is it? There was such a good question. Oh, how do you feel about Valentine's pocket dimension house thing that Sebastian uses at headquarters? Because I think it's dope.
I think it's so cool.
It's so cool.
Who wouldn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I always the thing that really gets me about the apartment is how Valentine made it so modern to appeal to Jocelyn, because he like truly thought that she was going to come back to him in the future and like wanted to have things from the mundane world. So he had all of these designer clothes and this TV player, and I was like, damn, like it's even when Valentine's dead, like we're still getting more development from him and learning more about him. And so I always think that's really interesting. And then Clare and Sebastian were like, we're talking about our parents. Like, we're the same our parents. Like, oh my God.
I think it's so cool because normally stuff like that, it's not an actual apartment that can, like, travel. It's normally just, like, a person with, like, a certain item. But, like, the idea of, like, having a full apartment that can, like, move places, it is so cool.
Let's see what other questions. Cassie Hall, how do you feel about Simon and Isabel in this book? Because I think it's fantastic. What do you guys think?
I don't really like Simon and Isabel that much, but like in this book, they were like really cute together. And like when he was like telling her the story of like Star Wars and stuff, and
Oh, that's another one of my favorite scenes when she's like, bite me, Simon. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like way too
Oh my God, that scene, man. That is a wild scene where Izine's on fire. And it's like, there's so much sexual tension in the scene, but it's also so cute because Simon's like, I don't want you to see me like this. And Izzy's talking about like her scars from shadow hunting. Oh, so good.
Amazing.
I really I think the like slow burn of Sizzy is like really underrated in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, because it starts with like them just like having this sort of like, oh, like Simon likes Isabel, but like he can't ever get her, and then they start dating, and then Simon's the only one who can comfort her after Max, and then like everything they have together where it's like they only what am I trying to say? They can only like comfort each other. Like that's the only person they want in these moments. And I remember, I don't know if it was in City of Fallen Angels or if it was in City of Lost Souls, but someone said to Izzy, like, I think Simon needs you to be the one to ask for him. And that's when she writes the note saying like, I need you. And it was like so cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
I really like that part.
I think it was in this one. I think
I think it was when she got drunk, right?
Yeah, I think
like,
with
Jordan. I think it was Jordan.
Yeah, because she was talking to Jordan and she's like, I should want to like kiss you, and she's like, but I don't.
That's a great.
He was like, you need to tell Simon.
I was like, oh, Elizabeth, Izzy, and and monogamy. I was like, oh, she caught monogamy. She doesn't like it. It was, where is it at? Somebody with the last name Yoon. I can't. Oh, Chloe Yoon, I think. It says, did Clary and Jace take Will's book when the apartment was destroyed? That is like one of the
Oh my god, I don't know.
I don't think so.
About that.
And like he had the dagger there too, like Steven's dagger. I think they like all.
I never thought about this.
I didn't think about that.
I feel like Magnus can like go back and recreate it so they can get it.
Wait, that's so fascinating. I never noticed that because
I didn't think about that.
Jace has already left.
Yeah.
Sebastian and Clary, and like they thought they were coming back, so like no one would take anything. So they probably got destroyed. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I have to ask Cassie now. The next time I see her, I'm gonna be like, "What happened to Will's book?"
Yeah. Okay, and then I do have something I like prepped.
Yeah.
So when Brother Zachariah on page 119 of the book, Brother Zachariah is talking about how like Jace is still in love with Clary, and I'm like, that might be true, but like the Jace, like this Jace, this like shadow Jace is not like completely himself. And then on page, let me look it up. Page 192. Sister Dolores is like, this binds two but makes one subordinate to the other. What the primary of the two believes, the other will believe. What the first wants, the second will want. So it's, she says it essentially removes the free will. So I don't think Jace had the free will to love Clary at that point. I think his feelings as the shadow Jace were Jonathan's, like they were Sebastian. And like I didn't really like that until I read it this time. I was like, I don't think, because if Sebastian wanted him to hate her or kill her, he would have done it.
Well, I think that Sebastian doesn't want Clary to die. You know, like I think Sebastian wants Clary to want him. Yeah, like Sebastian wants Clary to be there to watch the world burn, like to be like his, like, you know, his prize at the end of all of his conquering. So I don't think he ever would have wanted to hurt her, but I think that he probably could have made Jace, because if he believed that it was for the greater good, like for their mission, he probably could have. That's really interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until this read. I was like, I think this is Sebastian's love bleeding into this kind of, you know, twinning shadow Jace.
Yeah, I definitely think that's possible. That's a really, really fascinating point. And on the topic of the possession or the controlling, whatever it is.
Right.
I really love the moment where, I don't know if they're at the breakfast table or if they're out to eat somewhere, but Sebastian quotes something and Jace corrects him. And Clary is like, this is like that was Jace breaking through, because if Sebastian says something, like it's law to Jace. And I always thought that was really interesting how Clary was able to pick up on the one moment where Jace like showed that like he's still inside of there. And I always thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Let's see the questions. Oh, so there's a lot of questions on whose angel wings Sebastian ripped off at the end. And I don't think that was ever confirmed. I know a lot of people think it was Ithuriel, but Ithuriel was destroyed in City of Glass. So I really don't know. And I always thought that'd be interesting to know too, because like how did he, you know, he had to have like called down an angel and slain an angel in order to do that. And that's like impossible. You know what I mean? So I always thought that'd be interesting to see like a scene between the end of the end where Sebastian is running off and in between him getting into the Institute and leaving that message. I always thought that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see what other questions. If you guys see any other questions, feel free to.
I see one that's. It says, "Do you ever think Aglet would go through with making Magnus mortal?"
No, I
really hated Camille. Like I just.
Oh my god, she's the worst too. We need a short story about her as well.
Yeah.
I really hated her for that. Like she was like Simon is. I mean, Simon. Alec is a little gullible. Yeah. He's a little gullible, so I was like, okay. And she's like a master manipulator, but I was like, Alec, please see through this now. And sure enough, I was like, oh no, here comes the scene. I was like, what's about to happen? I was like, is it gonna be like a talk it out type situation? I was like, they broke up. Like my little heart, it couldn't take it. Could not take it.
I never. The way I read it was, I don't think that Alec would have gone through with it in the end, but I think that he mostly wanted to keep contact with Camille to learn more about Magnus. Like, yeah. I think it's definitely possible that last time that he went when Magnus caught him, I think he went there not with the intention of being like, all right, let's do this, I'm gonna kill Raphael, but I think it was like he wanted to hear more about what Magnus's life was like because Magnus never told him on his own.
Yeah. But, like, I get why he did it, because I feel like if I was in that situation, I would have probably done the same thing, because, like, obviously you don't want the person you love to carry on with life after you die. But, like, I probably wouldn't have gone to Camille. I would have probably talked to Magnus about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably why Magnus was more upset that, like, went behind his back instead of just speaking to him about it. But I feel bad for both of them in the situation, because, like, Alec was manipulated, but at the same time he's, like, broke Magnus's trust. It's like,
well, I had something to say about Malik. I don't remember. Someone can go, and if I think of it, I'll go back to it.
Malik is life.
I know. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I really love Malik in this part of the story because I can completely see both sides of them. I can see, I can understand Alec's insecurity and his desire to know more about Magnus and wanting to take whatever lengths he has to in order to learn more about him. Like, I understand him feeling helpless because, like, he's going to die one day and the love of his life isn't going to. But I also understand, of course, Magnus's his reluctance to share some of his past and his, his desire to be more reserved because he has all of this life experience. And, like, I think Magnus was totally right in breaking up with Alec. Like, that was a big thing for Alec to do. It would be one thing if he was just going to meet Camille just to talk about Magnus. Like, that would be a betrayal, but it wouldn't be a different kind. But I definitely think that, Magnus was in the right with what he did in the end, despite how much it hurt me.
Right. I think what really made me understand that for all of the immortals in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, the one thing that they don't know about and they can't get information about is death. And so that's like the one they're like, oh no, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to, go there because at this point I'm going to live forever. And so he's like confronting Alec. I'm about to say both of them, confronting Magnus with the one thing he's like, I don't know anything about this situation, and you're trying to like bring it upon me.
Yeah.
And so I was definitely sad. I was like, Magnus, but you're like 900 or 400 or 200.
No one knows. No one knows how old he is. Oh, I love this question from Chocopina Books. How did you think about how Clary acted when Jace was going to turn himself in, when he was aware of what was going on? What did you guys think of that scene?
I was torn.
Yeah. I saw Christine's book talk again because I wanted to like have something to do, and she refers it to when Damon tries to save Elena in Vampire Diaries, and it's like so on point because it's like Jace is trying to do something for the greater good, like saving the world, go for it, and then Clarice is like, but you're my boo, I want to keep you. We're gonna do something rash and impulsive, but we're gonna save you. So
right.
I always love that scene because I think it was so selfish of Clary, and she was really thinking about herself and Jace, like in them. You know, she obviously, like, her concern was like Jace not dying because she knew that's what was going to happen. But like, I know what it's like to be 17 and in love, and like, you know, if my boyfriend at 17 was like, I'm gonna go turn myself in and they're gonna kill me, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make you stay here. It's like, I get it, and I like how they talk about it in the end, where Clary's like, I should have listened to you, and I shouldn't have taken that choice away from you. Like, I like that she was aware of what she had done in that moment. Yeah, but I'm also like, well, I don't want Jace to turn himself in, so I like can't be mad at her for it, you know.
I see that, like, that perspective of like Clary being selfish. For me, you know, Jace is like, he's a Shadowhunter and he's a warrior, but for the most part, he is innocent.
Yeah,
and I think
totally.
the loss of innocent life means that they would have lost the battle period. Because I really don't believe that Sebastian would have died. I don't think that was true. I've never really believed that he would completely die, because he has like the demon blood in him. Like, I don't. Their lives were linked, but I feel like there would be a way for him to come back without being connected to Jace.
I mean, he did come back. You know what I mean? So definitely, I'm a little skeptical of if killing Jace would have really been the answer to ending Sebastian, and that just would have been like an injustice in itself.
Yeah, and so go ahead,
because
Christine,
Jace is linked. Yeah, because Jace is linked with Sebastian. It's not the other way around, because he's like one's will is the other one person's will. So the link between like innocent. If somebody had killed Sebastian, I'm sure Jace would have died, but not the other way around.
Yeah. I think that's I agree with that as well. Let's see in the questions. There's so many.
We haven't talked about that. When I talked about if somebody hurt Sebastian, it will hurt Jace. When Clary has the glass of, like, the glass thing, and she's hitting Sebastian, and she's just like, oh fuck.
That scene for me is so vivid, because I can so easily see Clary on top of Sebastian with the shard of glass in her hand, like, ready to go, and Sebastian, bloody and just laying on the floor, is laughing because he knows that she's not going to kill him.
Yeah. Clary is so savage in this book.
She really is. She's such a badass. I love her.
It doesn't, until this read, I didn't like really comprehend like how savage she was being. Like, he was like, okay, mom, so you think I'm just going to leave my boo with this psycho? No, I'm going to go with her. And then like just bounces out like, oh, the fairy queen, the Sealy queen, the evil lady that could probably find me in my sleep and kill me, I'm going to just co-opt the rings that she asked me to get and take them with me. Like, she was so savage in this book.
Seriously though, that's why, like, I always, one of the things I love about City of Lost Souls is I feel like Clary really grows into herself, because for so many books she's been viewed as like this reckless figure who like doesn't think before she's doing anything. But everything in City of Lost Souls is calculated. Like, she knows exactly what she's getting herself into by going into this like dimensional apartment where no one can track her, and her only source of communication is this ring that she literally stole from the Sealy Queen. Like, she knows what she's doing, and she's still going through with it because she believes that that's the right thing for her to do. And I think that's really like the difference in her character, and all those moments in the book when like she like sees herself like getting comfortable with Jace, and she's like, I you know, like, I just want to lay here and kiss him and do sexy things with him, but she's like, I can't let myself because that's not, you know, it's not him and stuff. So I always really love the development of Clary in this book, because I feel like she's really like grown, and she's like an adult Shadowhunter at this point.
Yeah.
Let's see all of the questions. So Sierra asks, do you think the Sealy Queen knew Sebastian would have returned, and that's why she gave Clare a favor at the end of City Glass because she was already allied with Sebastian?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that the Sealy Queen has so much knowledge in her little brain up here that she, I think that if she did not know that specifically Sebastian was coming back, I think she knew that like there was more to be had of the Shadowhunters and what was going on with them that I think she definitely knew. Or else maybe she did know that, Lilith took Sebastian's body from like Lynn. Like if she knew that, she probably knew that he was going to come back.
Yeah.
And that could definitely be it.
Right. Somebody asked, what do you think your favorite character would smell like? It's strange, but I'm curious.
I can tell you, this is so random. On page like 99 of City of Fallen Angels, Cassie describes what all the Downworlders and Shadowhunters smell like.
Right. Right.
It's like vampires smell like metal and Shadowhunters smell like sunlight. And I don't remember what the other ones were, but she describes what they all smell like. And I'm like, I know the page number of that. That's pathetic.
Technically, Simon is my favorite character. I feel like he would smell like the glue that makes cards, like Dungeons and Dragons. Like that.
Simon?
Yeah, but Izzy says that he smells like soap, though. But I feel like there would be like an undercurrent, like gaming, like that.
Well, I know that Clare uses grapefruit body wash, and Alec and Magnus use sandalwood.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that Clare constantly says that Jay smells like sunlight.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Smell like. What'd you say?
She says Sebastian smelled like pepper. Right?
Oh shit, she does! Oh my god. Dang, Claire's got a really keen nose.
Right.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
We already know my answer because sandalwood, but I love that they mention sandalwood in this book because Izzy is showering at Malak, and it's like Alec comes out and it's we like the smell of sandalwood. He's like, that's the royal we.
We hope you enjoy our gift. It's so funny.
I asked, what memories do you think the demon took?
Azazel. That's so tough. I mean, we only know what memory from Simon. That's the only one we know. So we have Alec, Magnus, Simon, and Izzy. I think that was just the four of them because Jocelyn left.
Yeah. That scene made me so sad. When he was like thinking of it, and he was like not, and it was like too late. I was so sad. That was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to wonder like what memories are like they willing to sacrifice. You know what I mean? I would say probably from Izzy. I have a feeling that Izzy would have chosen something like from like her like very young childhood when she was like 5 or 6. But like my immediate thought is like she would have wanted to hold on to Max's all of the memories of Max. But then it's like, did we maybe have a similar
then you start
thinking about it, and then that's the one he took. Like it's really interesting.
Yeah. I feel like Alec would have wanted anything except ones about his family, so he'll try to like not think about Jace or Izzy or Magnus. But then like the demon probably took one of those because that's what he was thinking about at the time.
And I feel like that's like exactly what the demon wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like have them like flicking through the memories and then choose the one that.
Yeah. Obviously, Magnus has got a lot to choose from.
Yeah. I'd love to know what memory Magnus chose because he has so much.
Yeah.
Let's see. Andrea Smith, what was your reaction to the scene where Jace comes to see Clare at night and Jocelyn meets Seppi in the kitchen?
Oh my god.
That scene with me every single time. Oh my gosh.
I'd like forget it's coming, and then like you just hear the scream. Like where you read the scream, like in my mind, like the books, like they play as movies, like as I'm reading. the scream. I'm like, oh, in this scene they were doing this, and then people are like, "Are you watching a movie?" I'm like, "No, I was reading a book. I'm sorry."
Yeah, that's definitely another one of my favorite scenes too. Is when Jace comes back, because every time we read it and like Clary is like laying in bed, like my heart starts racing, and she's like, "But Simon doesn't have a heartbeat." I'm like, ah! It's so good. I love that scene so much. And I also think the interaction between Jocelyn and Sebastian is really interesting, because they've like, that's probably like their first ever interaction.
Yeah.
Since he was literally like a baby. Because I don't think they ever talked when Jocelyn was in Idris, when she went to see her. I don't think they ever interacted. So that's like literally the first time they ever spoke, which is wild. I didn't realize that until now.
I think she would have recognized him if they saw each other in City of Glass.
For sure.
Because Hodge recognized them. Mother and son. She'd have been like, "Oh no, we in for it now." That is Valentine's son right there.
Yeah, it's really wild. I always thought that was so interesting. I think that Jocelyn and Sebastian, though they've literally never interacted except for that one moment. I always thought that their relationship was really fascinating, because Jocelyn, like, she wanted to love him so badly. Like, she cried over him every year of his life for the person that he could have been. And then Sebastian hates her because, like, she abandoned him. But it's like, does he really, or does he just, like, hate everyone? You know what I mean? It's like, when he talks about, like, do you think you could have loved me enough to save me? It's like, does he really think that? Like, does he want that? Does he want her to want him?
Or is it manipulation?
He's just fucking saying that because he can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. What do you think of Jordan and Maya in this book? I feel like Jordan and Maya frequently get left behind because there's so much drama with the Shadowhunters. What do you guys think of them?
I love me some Jordan and Maya. They're like my favorite little side couple. I'm like, you don't get no more story, but I love you too.
I have a really odd relationship with Jordan and Maya, because, like, part of me recognizes that, like, Jordan was abusive towards Maya. And, you know, in the circumstances of, like, our reality, like, of course, we never want to excuse that. But then that's the thing with Cassie, is that she makes you empathize with characters you're not supposed to empathize with. And we have all of this backstory of, like, he wasn't in control of himself, and he, like, has lived his life since trying to make it up for her. And it's really, really tough to be like, do I love them, or do I think that there's something odd here? But I have to say, like, I really do love the moments when they're, like, happy together, like when they have shower sex. That's a great scene, man.
Okay.
Super cute. But I also like I think I realized it for the first time really rereading this, is how aware Maya is. Like, she, like, sees herself, like, falling back into being in love with Jordan, because it reminds her of that time when everything was perfect. But she's also like, like, if we just start kissing every time we're together, like, we need to talk about this. So I like how she does remain, like, self-aware of the situation and how much they've been through, rather than just, like, throwing it all to the wind for love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Jordan and Maya?
I like them together. Like, I really like them together, but then at the same time, it's constantly in the back of my mind why they broke up in the first place and how, like, badly it affected Maya. So I'm like, I shouldn't want to like them together, but I still do. And I don't know.
Yeah. I think, Cassie does get a lot of criticism for writing a story where a survivor of abuse does go back to her abuser. And I think, like, it's hard to discuss this knowing, like, what happens in City of Heavenly Fire. Like, that's definitely more of a discussion for them. But I think, like, that happens. Like, a lot of, I feel like more people than not do go to return back to their abusers, because it is like, you know, you want to see the good in them and you want to remember what it was like that first time. So like definitely like the ending of City of Heavenly Fire is something to discuss next month. But you know, I think that like it is something that happens, and it's Maya's complete storyline that showcases that experience rather than just the act of her returning to Jordan because she wants to feel that love again. Let's see all of the questions. Should
we talk about Maureen?
Oh my gosh, I forget she exists all the time. Wow, Maureen.
That child is crazy.
Okay, does anyone like not believe that Maureen killed Camille? Because I don't. I do not believe it. I am like expecting Camille to like pop up, just like at some point, surprise, thought you've seen the last movie.
No, because like Camille's like hundreds of years old. Yeah. And then Maureen's only like just
14.
She's like 14.
Yeah.
And even though she's like insane, I just don't believe she could have killed like a vampire that old that knows how to fight like a vampire. I don't think.
Yeah. It's tough because, you know, in like lots of different vampire stories, like I know like this is a theme through Buffy, and like I know that Buffy was a big influence for Cassie. Like, I think Twilight as well. Like new vampires are really strong.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, I mean, maybe it was possible, but like the likelihood of it, like I firmly believe that Camille is not dead. Like I don't. Yeah. She has all the blood all over her face, and like why would she say that she killed Camille if she didn't? Unless they were working together. Whoa. But I don't know yet. But I think that Maureen is really interesting to watch. You know, her like so young, being influenced by all of this power that she now has.
Yeah. I was always curious if did Lilith turn her into a vampire, or did she have a vampire bite her? Because if Lilith turned her into a vampire, like I feel like Lilith has the power, then they might have made her stronger to be like turned by like the mother of demons. And so like there was a question in the back of my mind, but I still don't. I was like, wait a minute, she killed Camille? Like I'm in doubt.
Yeah. I just remember feeling bad for Simon and then being afraid for Simon because like he lost his mark. So like this book, I wasn't too worried that he was gonna die.
Oh my gosh.
Because, like, he's always dying in the other books, and like, whew, I can breathe. And then by the end, it's just like, damn it.
Yeah. For sure. I think maybe could take like sorry, I thought that the live stream like spazzed out for a second. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what's happening? I think that there's something wrong with the live stream. Do you guys see anything? Because someone said the live stream just go for doing now.
It's like spinning. I have it on my phone.
That's so odd. Well, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it says we're still live, so it might just be like the YouTube connection, so we can still going. We're coming up. Oh, wait, it just went back. I saw it. So I think it's working now. Sorry, everyone has to sit through that. So let's see if we can grab like another question or two to go to finish it. If you guys see any, go for it. Let's see. How do you all feel that it's canon that Sebastian wears penguin boxers? That is a layer of development I wasn't expecting. I love that Cassie like always puts in these strange little like tidbits. Like so interesting to me.
Right. I actually have a question that I wrote down.
Go for it.
At this point in the series of City of Lost Souls, how does everyone feel about the Clave, like the collective body and like the governing laws of the Clave?
I just do not like the Clave in general.
I do not.
I just
the Clave, man. They're just so messed up. Like that's why it's hard. You know, I think Clary says this in City of Glass when she's like, Valentine is talking about like where the Clave's mistakes are, and she's like, you want to believe him. Like you can hear what he's saying. It sounds rational. And that's where it comes in. It's like the Clave does have a lot of issues in terms of like their treatment of downworlders and you know, their discrimination towards you know, people in the LGBTQ plus community, and in the future we learn about their attitude towards mental illness. And so it is like they have so many problems, and I think that they just need like good leaders to like really fix it. But it's like, when are we gonna get those, you know?
Right.
So someone asks Choco Peanut Books, did you think that the Dark Shadowhunters are curable? Like, what are your thoughts on the Dark Shadowhunters?
Well, the Silent Brothers said no, right? Like they wouldn't have been able to be cured. I was somebody asked like way earlier, like, how do we feel about Amethyst being turned? That was so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was so bizarre for them to choose Amatis. Like, I never really understood the point of them picking her, unless it was because it was like someone that like Clary was close to. That's like the only thing that I could think of.
I think it was Luke.
Yeah, I think Luke and Jocelyn, because he wants to get back at Jocelyn, and he couldn't get
That's
Luke.
a good point too. Because I'm like, Valentine choosing Amatis would make sense because he has more of a connection to Luke, but Sebastian really doesn't. But to do Jocelyn, like that's to hurt Jocelyn. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I think it would have been harder for Luke or Clary to want to kill Amatis rather than anyone else, because they were that close.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the Dark Shadowhunters are really interesting because, like, you know, there are these limitations to you know, Shadowhunters. Like we have like the Forsaken and stuff. So it's just like I've always thought of it as like just being like permanent. Like I don't think it would ever would have been curable. I think that they're too tied to Sebastian and Lilith, and I think that there's just like no way for them to go back from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the demon blood like burns out the sunlight, so to say. That's irreversible.
Because I mean, you look at Sebastian, right? Like, you know, he has the Shadowhunter blood, but the greater demon blood is obviously dominant. So I think that definitely like really takes him over. I've always been interested to know what the minds of the Dark Shadowhunters are like now that they're like converted and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a demonic beehive. Like they don't really, you know.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, every time I reread this book, like, I know what happens, but I get so stressed when Sebastian is trying to force Clary to drink, because I'm like, oh my god, like it's at her mouth, like if she swallows it, she would become a Dark Shadowhunter, and it like shakes me every single time.
She was savage in that scene too.
Yeah, really. Clary has grown into herself, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let's see. Oh, Sierra N says, well, I think Sebastian also chose who he thought would be best for all to know. He saw Amatis and was like, you're good enough. Because that's right. I believe he said in this scene when when Amatis is changing, he's like, look at this frail old woman. Like, and like see what she can do now. Yeah, I think that was another part of it too. All right.
So many layers.
Yeah, seriously, it's so good. All right, we can take one more question before we head out for the end of this live show. If you guys see any good questions, feel free to pick them out. Let's see. If you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to send them our way. Let's see. I want to end like on a really good question, so I'm going all the way up and back. Let's see. Or if you guys have anything that you want to discuss that we haven't already, feel free to just jump in.
I do have something like two things. I'll try to make it brief. I kind of practice, so I'll try to shorten it. The first thing I like I feel that the entire fandom is kind of like unanimous on is Clary hating on other girls. I know it's like further back, she doesn't like, it's not really in the books, But when I first read it, I was an adult when I read it, so I don't know if that like colored my reaction. But I always just thought it was just her being a little insecure. I never really thought of it being more than that, than her just, you know, kind of like thinking like, I want my body to look like this person's body, or, you know, I never thought it was a character flaw because she never lets it impact her actions.
Yeah.
She still like she helps Maya, even though she's like, she has a better shape than me. And so I never read it as her really just hating, just for the sake of hating. And then the second thing is Alec, when he like attacks Clary. I know most people, and I'm not condoning what he did, but when I was watching it, it was like, I thought it was like a really beautiful scene. Like the way someone would find like a forest fire or a volcanic eruption beautiful. Like, yes, you want them to stop. You want this stuff to stop, but it's like beautiful. And it just, for me, illustrated in that moment that Shadowhunters, they like feel like really, really passionately, and he like, you know, attacks her because she was revealing a truth about him that he wasn't ready to face. And so like he's ashamed of himself, and so he acted shamefully. And so I think that if people like, you know, like put that perspective in it, like, it'll be easier for them. Like, he shouldn't have attacked her, of course, but I think just like to like in the thought, like, as a human, like we all fall from grace. You know, sometimes we're not the best people that we can be. And at that moment, that was Alec. And I just thought it was part of his human experience and his growth. And then Clary's like never really like extremely mad at him. So that also colored my reaction as well. Like, Clary didn't get mad at him. So I was like, I guess she's cool with it.
Yeah. See, the thing that I'm trying to remember about this is like those two things when Alec, you know, attacks Clary and all of the girl hate. Like, that was written in 2007 when, like, that was, like, typical for books. Like, especially the girl hate. Like, I'm not saying it was ever okay, but it was definitely more tolerated at the time because it's over 10 years ago. And the thing that I love about Cassie, I like my response to this, is in the 10th anniversary edition to City of Bones, Cassie's actually made edits to City of Bones. Yeah. And one of the edits is at the end of the scene with Alec, and it says that he walks away feeling shame, like with like a look of shame on his face. So like he acknowledges that what he did wasn't okay, and he shouldn't have attacked her like that. But like, you know, we do understand, like, he, you know, he's grown up in this place where he like cannot be himself, and anyone knowing that is a threat to him. So like, I think that not that his actions are justified, but they're understandable. And with the girl hate, I always say in City of Ashes, Clary says, she like calls herself out, and she is like, I don't know why I'm being so mean. Like, I don't know why I'm thinking this way. And that's the last time. It is not something that persists throughout the rest of the season.
And
so it shows that she learned from it. You know, and I definitely think it was more of the insecurity rather than other books that are like hating on girls for like taking selfies and posting them on Instagram. Like it's I think it is rooted in her her insecurities. Christina or Macy, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Do you have Macy?
No, not really. Like everything you just said, I completely agree with. Really.
I think the hate is very like, it was very trendy. Back in days, and like Clary, it's based on her insecurities, and especially because she directs a lot to Isabel, and like she knows that she's a Shadowhunter, and then suddenly like the expectations, the only girl Shadowhunter she knows is Isabel, and it's not like he's super relatable to Clary. So like I can understand why she's insecure, and it just took that way of like showing her insecurities, and it doesn't persist throughout the books, and their relationship together is really cute. So
so cute by the end of it. Like they were like when in City of Fallen Angels, when she calls Izzy to help her, and they have like this fight with the demon. It's so good. I love them together.
Oh my gosh, that scene is so perfect.
So good. It was so good. All right, well, I think that really concludes this live show. So thank you so much to everyone who participated in the chat and asked us questions and shared your thoughts on it. It was so much fun chatting with you guys. And thank you to my lovely co-hosts who coordinated this whole discussion with me. It was so much fun. Again, we are hosting this Shadowhunter read-along all year long. We're a little behind, so like expect some live shows to really get on that soon. But yeah, you can join the Dreg Society Facebook group. This will be published after if you missed any of it and want to rewatch it. But thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you soon for the Clockwork Princess live show.
Oh, favorite.
Oh, I'm so excited. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.